The night the billionaire told her assistant to stay away, her voice wasn't cold or cruel. It trembled. The city lights behind her window glittered like 1,000 secrets, and in that moment, one warning carried the weight of a lifetime of guarded walls. She had everything money could buy, yet fear still sat heavy in her chest. Because sometimes, the most dangerous thing isn't losing wealth or power. Sometimes, it's letting someone see your heart. Before the story begins, take a second to support the channel. If stories about kindness, humanity, and quiet moments of change speak to you, please subscribe, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments. It helps the community grow here on your channel name, and it lets us keep bringing stories like this to life. Now, let me tell you her story. Evelyn Hart was a self-made billionaire. Her name was carved into skyscrapers, hospitals, and scholarship programs across the country. Newspapers praised her sharp mind and fearless leadership, but no headline ever mentioned how lonely her penthouse felt at night, or how silence followed her from room to room like a shadow. Her assistant, Daniel Reed, had been hired 6 months earlier. He wasn't flashy. He didn't talk much. He showed up early, left late, and treated everyone, from board members to janitors, with the same quiet respect. Evelyn noticed that more than she noticed his resume. Daniel carried kindness the way some people carry confidence. He held doors without making a show of it. He listened without interrupting. And when Evelyn snapped during stressful meetings, he never took it personally. He simply waited, steady and calm. That night, the storm outside mirrored the tension inside her. A power outage darkened half the city. The office staff had gone home early, but Daniel stayed to make sure Evelyn was safe. Lightning flashed, briefly lighting up the room as she stared out at the skyline. "You should go," she said, without turning around. "I can stay," Daniel replied gently. "Just until the storm passes." She shook her head. "If you stay tonight," she said, finally facing him, "I don't trust myself. I won't be someone I'm trying not to be." Daniel was confused, but he didn't push. He simply nodded. "I understand. I'll check in tomorrow." As the elevator doors closed behind him, Evelyn felt something crack inside her. Not relief, regret. Evelyn grew up poor, raised by a mother who worked 3 jobs and still found time to volunteer at a community kitchen every Sunday. Kindness was the one thing her mother gave freely, even when money was scarce. But after her mother passed away and success hardened her world, Evelyn learned to protect herself with distance. People wanted her money, her influence, her name. Few wanted her truth. Daniel, without trying, had stepped past her defenses. He asked how her day really was. He remembered small details. He once noticed her hand shaking during a meeting and quietly slid her a glass of water. No words needed. That terrified her. The next morning, Evelyn arrived early. She expected Daniel to be his usual calm self, but instead, she found a handwritten note on her desk. It said, "Storms pass. I hope today is gentler." Her chest tightened. No assistant had ever left her a note like that. Weeks passed, and Evelyn began to notice how Daniel treated others. When a delivery driver showed up late and clearly stressed, Daniel thanked him instead of complaining. When a junior employee cried in the break room after a mistake, Daniel sat nearby until she calmed down, then helped her fix it without judgment. Kindness, Evelyn realized, wasn't loud. It didn't demand attention. It simply showed up. One afternoon, Evelyn received news that one of her factories would be shutting down. Hundreds of jobs would be lost. She felt the familiar urge to detach, to let lawyers handle the damage. But Daniel spoke up carefully. "May I suggest something?" he asked. "What if you meet with the workers first? Just to listen?" She almost said no. Almost. But something in his eyes reminded her of her mother's quiet strength. The meeting was emotional. Workers spoke of mortgages, medical bills, college dreams for their kids. Evelyn listened, truly listened, and for the first time in years, she cried in front of strangers. That night, She funded retraining programs and extended healthcare benefits. It cost millions, but it gave her something she hadn't felt in a long time: peace. Later, as Daniel walked her to the elevator, she said softly, "You make it hard for me to stay distant." He smiled. Distance keeps us safe. Kindness keeps us human. Months later, Evelyn fell ill. Not physically, but emotionally. Burnout crept in, heavy and relentless. One night, she collapsed in her office from exhaustion. Daniel found her and stayed until help arrived, holding her hand as she drifted in and out of sleep. When she woke in the hospital, Daniel was there with a simple bouquet of wildflowers. "I thought you said you shouldn't stay," he said gently. She laughed weakly. "Turns out I needed someone to." Recovery forced Evelyn to slow down. She delegated more, listened more, and trusted more. Daniel remained by her side, not as a savior, but as a steady presence. One evening, months later, another storm rolled in. The city glowed under dark clouds, just like that first night. Evelyn stood by the window again. "You can stay," she said this time. "Not because I'm afraid of myself, but because I trust who I'm becoming." Daniel nodded. "That's all any of us can do." Evelyn never turned her story into a headline, but kindness changed her leadership, her company, and her life. She started small: thank you notes, listening sessions, acts of quiet generosity that rippled outward. Daniel eventually left to start a nonprofit, funded anonymously by Evelyn. They remained friends, bound not by power or wealth, but by the simple truth that kindness, once given, never really leaves. And maybe that's the real lesson. Kindness isn't weakness. It's courage. It's choosing connection over fear, even when the risk feels high, because sometimes staying, being present, being kind is the bravest thing we can do. So as you step back into your day, remember this story. You never know whose life might change because you chose patience, compassion, or understanding. Spread kindness. It costs nothing, and it can change everything.